Hey Meeple people, and on today's vlog, we're going to be talking about Tower of Madness by Smirk and Dagger Games. Let's get to it!
The veil between worlds is thinning, an ancient horror is awakening, and the very existence of the world hangs in the balance. You must investigate a series of terrifying locations and discover the unknowable truth before the world ends, or go mad in an attempt to save it. Find the paranormal gates that have opened onto our world. Be stout of heart and strong of mind. Only then will you discover how to seal the gates and save humanity.
Hey Meeple people, so today we're going to be discussing the topic of Tower of Madness since it's Halloween and it's shortly coming up. So let's go ahead and see what Sarah has to show us.
Hi there. So Tower of Menace is a game for 3 to 5 players, and we've actually just completed a game with a couple of friends, but they did not wish to be shown on camera. So we're just going to talk about the game. This is Tower of Menace. It's kind of like if Kerplunk and Yahtzee had a baby, sort of, and that baby was like Cthulhu coming to eat us all. So the way that this works is we've built this crazy Tower of Madness, and normally all of these marbles would be inside of this tower, so that when we remove these tentacles, there's the chance that they may fall out of the tower. There are different marbles and they do different things. I'm going to circle back around to that here in just a second. The game is comprised of a series of locations, and each round of the game will be attempting to win a location, which is worth a certain number of points at the end of the game. And as long as you don't go insane, or as long as Cthulhu doesn't appear before the end of the game, the player with the most points at the end of the game wins. So you're trying to get those points, and the way that you're doing that is each round of the game, each player is going to throw these 5 dice. They just have standard numbers 1 through 6 on them, just like any other 6-sided die, but they also have some strange eldritch symbols on them as well. The game round for each player is sort of comprised of like 2 sections. They have to get an investigation section of dice here, and then they also have to get a discovery section of dice here. And for the most part, you can kind of do this in any order you want to, although some locations may interact with how and when you lock in these dice. But essentially what's going to happen is on your turn, you're going to throw all 5 of these dice, and then you can re-roll these as many times as you like. However, you have to lock in at least 1 dice per throw. So in this case here, I've rolled a 1, 2, 3 right off the bat, which is what I need for my investigation. And then for my discovery, I'm looking to aim for the highest number I possibly can. So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and keep this 1, 2, 3 because that meets the criteria that I need for my investigation. And then I'm also going to keep this 6 as part of my discovery dice. I'm going to go ahead and re-roll this one. Whatever this is, I have to keep it because I have to lock a die every throw. So in this case here, I've got a discovery dice total of 7. I'm going to take this marble right here and I'm going to put it on the 7 of my player dashboard. And then it's going to be the next player's turn. So I'm going to hand all these dice off to the next player. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to roll, locking 1 dice per throw. If at the end of your turn, if you've rolled all the dice and you haven't managed to make your investigation dice so that you have a 1, 2, and 3 in this section, then you fail the investigation. And what you have to do then is draw another tentacle out of the tower. So it's going to go around so that each player has a turn to throw the dice and lock them in, trying to beat the total of any previous player who had a discovery dice total that was acquired earlier in the round. So for example, in this round, I've got a 7. If other players meet their investigation and then get better discovery dice totals than I did, they'll take this marble from me and put it on their own player dashboards in the new section, and then that's the number to meet or beat. Once a round is over, when all the players have had a chance to meet or beat the discovery dice total of anybody who was able to do that this round, then the round is going to end, and the player who had the highest discovery dice total is going to get the location that we were sort of aiming for this round. There's a couple of other things going on in the game. One is that we each have a unique ability, or we can use the basic card. So this is one of the basic cards, and this is one of the ones that would give us like a unique ability. At the beginning of the game, everybody's going to get one of these. If you're playing with just the basic ones, it means that if you roll 2 5s, you get to select one of these tokens here and use that this round. But if you had one of the more complex ones, they would give you a unique ability as well. So these tokens right here, there are 5 of them, and we can use them to do different things. Basically, the way that you're going to get these is when you throw your dice, if in a round, oh, look at that, you have 2 5s that you've gotten in the same throw, then you can select one of these tokens here. And they do different things. For example, this one here, which is the only one that you can keep for an additional round, this would let you cancel having to pull out one of those tentacles if you failed, or if another player played a card on you, it would let you cancel the effects of that card. This one would let you give away a red marble, which I'll talk about what the marbles do here in just a bit, but we don't want the red one. So this would let you give away a red one. This one would let you steal a card from an insane player or take a white die. This one right here, take a white die from one area of your dashboard and move it into a different area of your dashboard, which would mean it would be worth more points at the end of the game. This one right here would let you re-roll to beat the leader. So if at the end of the round you had maybe a 7, but somebody else had a 12, you would get to roll 2 extra dice to try to beat their numbers. And finally, this one right here would let you re-roll to succeed. So if I failed my investigation, but I had that token, then I could attempt to re-roll some dice and maybe actually succeed in my investigation. So all this is done over the course of the game. As I'm pulling tentacles, though, these marbles may fall out of the tower. Not all of them are bad. We're going to put these marbles in these different spaces here on the board. So all of the red marbles are going to go in this line right here. These are madness marbles. And if any player ever acquires 4 or more red marbles, they automatically go insane, and the game changes pretty drastically for them. They no longer care about anything that happens except Cthulhu's arrival to the Earth. They have gone insane and they are trying to summon Cthulhu. They think if they're able to summon Cthulhu, that when he arrives, he will bless them for their attempts on his behalf by eating them first. So when a player goes insane, they no longer roll dice on their turn. They simply draw tentacles out of the tower, and they can play cards because the cards have a sane side and an insane side. So they can play their cards for their insane purposes. So that's what the red marbles do. The white ones, when you get white marbles, you put them in your spells section here, and then for every white marble that you had fall out of the tower on your turn, you get to draw a spell card. The spell cards have, like I said, an insane and a sane side. Depending on which you are, you can use that side of the card, and they all have sort of times where they trigger. This one, for example, for the sane player, you can use this at the end of your turn, and if you do that, you would subtract 2 from the discovery dice total of the player's turn that just ended. So if somebody got like a 12 and you had, an 11, you could play this to reduce their total by 2 so that you maintain the lead. That's what the white marbles do. And then finally, the blue marbles don't do anything, but if the end of the game happens before Cthulhu is summoned, then we add up all of our points, and the points come from the locations and the discoveries that we've made over the course of the game. So every blue marble is worth 3 points at the end of the game, as long as Cthulhu hasn't been summoned. Now, I keep saying that. Cthulhu is summoned if all 3 of these green marbles fall out of the tower before the game ends. If that happens, then Cthulhu is summoned, and any insane players win the game instead. So that is kind of a basic overview of Tower of Madness. Like I said, we've just completed a 4-player game with some friends, and I enjoy playing this game around this time of year because I think it's, sort of thematic and fun. It's very silly. It's very sort of, luck-based. It's dice-driven, plus, who knows what's going to happen when you pull a tentacle out of this crazy tower. But there is a little bit of strategy to it when you play those cards and how you select the dice you're going to lock each turn and stuff like that. So there is a little bit of player agency involved. And I don't know, I think it's just fun and thematic and kind of silly and crazy and zany, and It's an interesting one, especially for this time of year. What do you think, Nick?
I definitely agree that it's just one of those zany games that you play during Halloween, but also it's just a fun game to play. Like, I also think of a game that you play at a convention that when, if you're like a worker and it's the end of the day, and this is just one of those games that you're just like so tired, you're just pulling out. It's a great filler game too. I think if you play like an intense think strategy, heavy Euro game, and then you come out and then you kind of chill out with this game and just have a fun time. Who knows who's going to go insane? Who knows if Cthulhu's going to rise and eat you in a glorious way, and or if you're going to get out by the skin of your teeth and then you count points. But it's definitely interesting. The Yahtzee aspect of it all, I really like, because you're rolling dice and you're like, well, if someone meets or exceeds, then I lose, or like there were a couple times where I rolled one, two, three, and two sixes, and I was like, "That's insane!" And it's just like stories you have after game night where you're just like, "Didn't you see that insane move I did with just throwing the dice and the luck gods went ahead and gave me this perfect roll? It's awesome."
One thing that I think is cool about the game is that the locations that we discover as we're playing, each one of them sort of changes up how the game is played just a little bit. So for example, at the start of the game, we always start investigating the clock tower, and basically it's just standard rules apply. But then after that, every round we reveal a new location, and that's the location that we're attempting to investigate that round. And they have sort of like these little tiny things that sort of change the game just a little bit. So for this one example, this is Round Hill Woods. It's worth 9 points for the player who has it at the end of the game, as long as Cthulhu isn't summoned. And in this one, it says instead of their normal values, your investigation dice must be triple ones. So normally our investigation dice, we want a 1, 2, and 3. But when we're trying to investigate Round Hill Woods, we really need our investigation total to be triple ones. So there's just different ways that the game is changed up with each location that comes out each round. They all do something slightly different. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it just kind of throws a wrench into the plans. But that's a fun way that the game stays unique and interesting. And then, like I said, these cards, they've got the dual use for, like, they got the sane and then the insane uses, and you just use that based on which allocation you are. And they do different things at different points in the game, and they can keep things sort of fresh and interesting and fun. So yeah, it's definitely pretty zany. It's a creative experience, I think, that led to this game being made, because it's definitely a unique game, I think. But it's just a fun, simple, silly game. And I think that it's the perfect time of year to play it.
All right, well, that was our little discussion on the Tower of Madness by Smirk and Dagger Games. We'll make sure to have a BGG link in the description so you can check it out for more, and maybe try to pick up a copy before your Halloween festivities start up. But we all hope you have a safe and happy and amazing Halloween, and we'll see you all next time. Toodles!